Ladies and gentlemen of Ballet International, here we are with a new interview with a prestigious personality of the world of dance. His name is Mark Elie. He is now working in the United Kingdom, and very briefly, I'm going to give some highlights of what he has done. So he is the Artistic Director and Chief Executive Officer, and he has received a Lifetime Achievement Award winner and author, and he is the founder of the Mark Elie Dance Foundation. So as you can see, we have a very important figure of the world of dance in our interview. Good morning, Mr. Mark. May I call you Mark directly, or you prefer Mr. Mark Elie?
No, it's fine. And my surname, Pierre, is pronounced Elie.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Eli.
That's okay.
Eli.
Lots of people get the pronunciation wrong, but it's pronounced Elie. Mark Elie.
I pronounce in the French, either with the French pronunciation, Eli. Okay. Excuse me for that mistake.
No.
Good morning, Mr. Mark.
Good morning, Pierre. Can I call you Pierre?
Yes, no problem at all.
Good morning, Pierre.
So it's so nice to have you online today. And could you explain to our audience, how did you start, and at what age did you start, and what motivated you when you were a child to learn dance, ballet or contemporary or whatsoever?
Well, I was very fortunate. I was raised, Pierre, in a children's home. I was raised in care. My mother and father, they split up when I was around about the age of 2. My father looked after me till I was 3, and then I had to go into care because he could no longer work full time and have the responsibility of looking after me. And he wasn't very happy with the care people that were looking after me while he was at work. So the best thing he thought was for me to go into care. So I was sent to a Westminster City Children's Home in Paddington, in a wonderful area called Little Venice. And from the age of 3, I was brought up by a wonderful house mother called Helen Parry, who we used to call our Auntie Helen. And I was brought up there from the age of 3 to the age of 15. But dance had always been in my life. I'd always been a very enthusiastic dancer. We were very fortunate. We had a television in the children's home. So I was constantly watching old Hollywood movies, musicals, and also had a program that I was very, I guess, inspired by, called Top of the Pops, which was a more sort of popular music program. So I used to be besotted by the dancers on there. And my auntie thought that, you know what, we have to channel this young man's energy into something, and dance seems to be the area that he seems to enjoy doing. So my social worker at the time, a wonderful, very, very special lady called Julia Graham, arranged for me to have an audition at the Ballet Rambert School, the Mercury Theatre in Notting Hill Gate. And that's where it started, at the age of 10.
That is nice. That is nice. So what was your first impact when you made this audition? You were completely alien and everything was new. So how did you feel when you made the audition?
Well, everything was new to me. I was very fortunate because my social worker, Julia Graham, she'd taken me to see Rudolf Nureyev do Romeo and Juliet at the Opera House. So I'd seen this incredible dancer, and I just thought, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to be a ballet dancer. I want to be able to jump and have the charisma that Rudolf Nureyev had on the stage. And when I went for my audition, it wasn't actually in a dance studio. Alongside the Ballet Rambert School, Angela Ellis, who was Madame Rambert's daughter, who run the school when I was there, she lived literally next door. You had the school there and her house there. They were literally squashed together. And to cut a long story short, all I remember was her asking me, could I do my biggest jump from one end of the room to the other end of the room? So I just thought of Nureyev doing his fabulous jetés. So I just ran, and then I did the biggest jump that I could possibly do. And the rest was history. I received a scholarship, and then I started my training at the Rambert School of Ballet and Contemporary Dance at the Mercury Theatre.
Nice. And how many teachers did you had at the Ballet Rambert?
To start with, one, Miss Stennard, which I think I had her for a good couple of years, and she was amazing. She was very, very old-fashioned, very 18th century, fabulous lady that came with her lovely big, her tutu dress, and her ballet shoes were all tied up with ribbons. One thing I do remember, because later on in my life, I experienced having that problem myself, was that she had incredible bunions. really, really incredible bunions. And I used to think, oh my goodness gracious me, I wonder if that will happen to me. They literally popped out of her ballet shoes. Oh, yeah. And but she was an absolute darling. And she really, really encouraged me, even when the other girl, because I was the only boy in the class. I was the only boy in the class, and sometimes in a sea of pink, and sometimes the girls could be cruel to me. And Miss Stennard used to say, "No, Mark, you continue, pay them no mind. You just continue doing what you enjoy," and I did, thanks to her encouragement.
So beside this great teacher that you had, did you also had classes with Madame Rambert?
Madame Rambert, that happened later on. When I used to do once a week classes at the Rambert School, and then I did 2 classes a week. That's when I was around about the age of 12. I did 2 classes a week, and then when I left my secondary school when I was 15, I got a scholarship to do the 3-year course at the Rambert, which then I had more teachers. I had Terry Etheridge, I had Angela Ellis, I had Bridget Kelly. I had a ballet teacher, a contemporary teacher. I had character dance teacher. So that's when I started to get a more array of teaching faculty, was when I did the 3-year course.
Yes, yes. And you had
Pat Norman. I must mention the wonderful Pat Norman, who they were all incredible teachers in their own individual right. But I do remember the technical excellence that Pat Norman used to teach when we did her ballet class at the Rambert. She was a very, very technical dancer.
Yes.
A teacher.
Yes. And so each teacher you had were about, I think, 8, 10 in total, no?
In total at the school, I would say we had Angela Ellis, Pat Norman, Bridget Kelly, 5.
5. Okay. So
5.
each teacher had a different character, had a different way to explain the steps, the enchaînement, the movements, the technique. And with whom were you feeling more familiar? And maybe there were some that you were a little bit, a bit scared of, but you were inspiration.
Beautifully put, Pierre. Very beautifully put. Yes, I would have to say, God bless her, Angela Ellis. Angela Ellis, the reason why I say Angela Ellis, because I was a dancer's dancer. I'd be in that dance studio and the pianist would play and I would just jump for joy and turn and twirl. I was predominantly known for my turning and jumping. I was a very, very talented turner. I pirouetted like Nureyev. And I jumped like Nureyev. I was very good at tour en l'air. I could do double tour en lairs, like just do them. They weren't a problem to me. Pirouettes weren't a problem to me. Grand chemins weren't a problem to me. The technical, the brise volleys and things like that, I had to fight for. But Angela Ellis, she liked dancers just to dance and express themselves without having to worry too much about the technique, even though, as we know, it's important to have alongside the dance the technique. But she was very much inspired by seeing people dancing, and I was very much a dancer's dancer. I danced. I just danced.
In the Rambert Academy, were they teaching only classical ballet, or what type of other discipline were they doing?
We were very fortunate. We did classical ballet, we did contemporary dance, and we did character dance, and we also did pas de deux classes.
Good. But you were the only boy who was doing pas de deux?
No,
Oh.
by then, by then, we were into the early 70s, and there was a huge influx of dancers, of male dancers. There'd always been male dancers at the Rambert school, but there was quite a big influx of black and mixed race dancers, because when I started at the Rambert, I was the only young black boy that was doing ballet class.
Yes.
So I didn't really have any role models as far as black dancers were concerned. And then there was one young boy called Ben, who came a little bit later and joined me in my ballet class very briefly, and then I guess he gave up. But until I actually did the 3-year course, I didn't really see any other black ballet dancers or mixed race dancers. But then that year in 1977, there were probably in my class about 3 or 4 black boys, mixed race boys in my class. And in that school, in the years that I did my 3-year course, there were probably in excess of about 10 boys and girls of color.
Well, I think you will agree with me, but in art of ballet, the color of the skin doesn't matter. We are all dancers,
Absolutely.
So we are all
I can't agree more.
Because when you work at the bar, you do your center work, we are all the same. We all share the same difficulties, the same problems, and we all fall in the floor like iron machine when we miss a double tour en l'air, but we are all the same. We are dancers. We are dance artists. So the color of the skin doesn't matter.
But sadly, in the United Kingdom, in the 70s, well, when I was at Rambert, and when I was training,
Yes.
there weren't any working ballet dancers of color. In fact, there was only one, and you know him, and that was Vincent Hantum.
He's extraordinary.
Vincent Hantum was like the god. He was like the Black Nijinsky of the UK. We all, if you hadn't seen him, which sadly, when I was a student, I hadn't seen Vincent dance, but I'd heard through other dancers that had seen him in Covent Garden at the studios doing class at the Erdan Academy or Pineapple or wherever, and they spoke extremely highly about Vincent Hantum. And we had a boy at the Rambert School called Patrick Lewis, who was phenomenal. He would have been on the same kind of level as Vincent. They were similar in height because Vincent wasn't a tall dancer.
Yes.
Patrick wasn't a tall dancer. Patrick was probably slightly taller than Vincent, but they were very, very technical dancers. And they had the physical, I guess they had the physical aesthetic that classical ballet demands.
Yes.
When you have to execute perfection in classical ballet, you have to have a certain aesthetic, which consists predominantly of incredible line, incredible feet at the end of your line, and if you're very fortunate, to be supple. And Patrick Lewis, who was at school with me, had all of those. And Vincent was more, for me personally, was more of a refined, technical ballet dancer. He was just stunning to watch. Whereas Patrick Lewis, he was almost like a British dance theatre of Harlem ballet dancer,
Yes.
if that makes any sense. He had, I guess he had the refinement and the technical ability of a British. I guess the only way I can describe Patrick was he was very Anthony Dowell, but much more supple than Anthony Dowell, much more supple.
Yes. Well, it's very important, yes, to be supple for a ballet dancer, but not too much. Not too much, not too acrobatic and not too gymnastic way. Just to be the average is very good. And there are the lucky ones that you have, as you have said, that they have an extra advantage in the technique. Because when you are able to make a développé à la seconde or the développé forward, and your leg goes up much upper than 90 degrees, nearly 180, that is a miracle.
It is, I guess why I have, I guess, inspired to very supple ballerinas is that Angela Ellis was always, one of her catchphrases was, high that leg, high that leg. She was forever asking everyone to get their legs higher, higher, higher that leg. But, and some, at the Rambert, when I was there were some very, very beautifully supple dancers that were phenomenal to watch. But, like you said, when you watched the classics and the ballerinas from the past, it wasn't about high legs.
No,
it was about technique and the dance.
Well,
but as we went forward, of course, it's just evolved, and you've just got these incredibly supple dancers now. And one of my favorites in the late 80s was Sylvie Guillem. She came onto the scene and smashed it.
She was extraordinary also, Sylvie Guillaume.
Yes, yeah.
Well, if you
Je
take
t'adore de Sylvie Guillaume. Je t'adore.
she is a wonderful person. She's
Yes.
many people call her Madame No.
Madame No.
Madame No, because I remember that once Anthony Dowell asked her to do something, and she said, "No, I'm not going to do it." And she was new coming from Paris. So Anthony Dowell called her, "You are Madame No." But
Well, he is Monsieur.
technically.
He is Monsieur No.
So, what do you think about Madame Rambert? Because Madame Rambert has a great name in the world of dance, but not many people know her as a person. You maybe could describe Madame Rambert at the best. How was she as a
Do you know what?
personality?
I I guess I was very fortunate because when she came to visit the school, when she came to the Mercury Theatre in Notting Hill Gate, she was a very she was an elderly lady, but she was everything that you thought she was going to be. She came with her stick, and she came in the class, and she walked around, and she talked to some of the students there, and she was the grande dame. She was a grande dame, you know, like Nanette de Valdemar and all these wonderfully old directors and dancers of their time. You know, I guess you just think when you're a young student, I wonder if that will ever be me. Will I ever be at that point in my life where I'm coming into a studio, looking at my students, having had an incredible career, and that was my impression, and now I'm living that. I'm living that myself.
Yeah.
That vision I saw in the studio of Rambert all those years ago. Now I'm living that, and I feel very honoured that I'm still here and able to appreciate and love ballet. I love ballet still. I don't know when maybe I will not still have the passion that I still have for classical ballet, but at the moment I still do. It's still it still touches me in my heart.
I can
Very much so.
understand you. I can understand you. So, at what age did you start performing?
Did I start performing?
Yes.
I started performing very young, actually. I used to go, well, I went to the Saturday morning pictures, which was very close by to where I lived in Paddington, at the Queensway ABC cinema. And in the middle, when they had the break, they'd have a dancing competition. So they would just play popular music of the time, and I loved disco dancing. I just loved disco dancing. So I'd get on that stage in this enormous cinema in London, and it would be full of children, very enthusiastic children, a lot of children that knew me and knew of my talent for dancing. And basically, I'd dance every single Saturday, and I'd win. I'd win the competition every single Saturday. I guess that was my first experience in front of a massive audience, and then I would go away on holiday to holiday camps like Pontins holiday camp with my children's home, and I'd enter dancing competitions there, and I'd win, and then it got more serious. Really, it got more serious with my training at Rambert, and then I sort of had to knuckle down with that. But it was the disco era. So I was very torn. I was very torn between classical ballet and disco dancing, because I was an amazing disco. In fact, I was a disco champion. I was a disco champion dancer, as well as a talented classically trained dancer. So I used to mix my disco and my classical ballet together.
So you were the Nureyev of the disco dance.
I was the Nureyev of the disco dance. Exactement, Pierre.
So at the Rambert Academy, did you had the how was the program? Were you doing every year an audition, examination, or you were just
No,
accepted like that?
no, we were really fortunate, actually. I've never been an academic person. And I didn't do any exams at school. We did probably about we probably did about 4 classes a day,
Mm-hmm.
which consisted of classical, contemporary, pas de deux, and or character dance. Yeah, it was predominantly training. You know, when I look back, I think, my goodness gracious me, we did a lot of classes during the day.
So you
Yeah,
were doing
it was.
something like 2 or 3 classes or more, maybe?
Yeah, no, about three classes a day, maybe 4 classes a day.
That's quite a lot.
It is. It is quite a lot.
Yes.
It is quite a lot.
You need a lot of strength, a lot of stamina to reach up until the end. I mean,
Well, we were young and so enthusiastic, and dance in the 70s was just, it was just all about dance. And we were so enthusiastic. As soon as I remember, as soon as you'd get up, because where I lived, which was a wonderful boarding house called Bowden Court, which was just down the road from the Mercury Theatre.
yes.
And quite a few of the students that were studying at the Rambert lived there. And one of my friends, who was also at the school, called Javier, who was a young Spanish boy, incredible dancer, incredible turner. He could just turn like Baryshnikov. He was just phenomenal. And we used to, before we went to school, there was a mirror at the side of our dorm, and we would have a pirouette competition.
To see who is doing better.
Who was doing the most? We wouldn't start walking to school until we did at least 4 pirouettes each. And then we'd make our way to the school with a chassé coupé jeté.
But I think this happens a lot with young dancers today, before they go to do class, they do a competition to see who is the best. I have seen some video about the Cuba Academy,
Oh yeah,
and they are
yeah.
fabulous. And I have seen some students, they are not in the ballet studio, they are on the stairs, but they are doing pirouettes, tour en l'air, and just to see who can reach the maximum of turns and get better tour en l'air before going class. And that is amazing.
This is, yeah. I actually saw that piece of film. It was phenomenal because they were very young boys,
Yeah.
and then their teacher comes along.
Yes.
And yeah, I remember, and it was a beautiful building where they were doing their pirouettes. But yes, the Cubans are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Well, they have inherited the old Russian good school academy of work, with Alicia Alonso
Absolutely.
and that was the old history of ballet, but it's the strongest one.
The Ballet Russe.
Exactly. For instance, if you take Margot Fontaine, for her time, she was the prima ballerina assoluta. And today, when we see the video of Margot Fonteyn and we compare to the new ballerinas, of course, Margot Fonteyn, she didn't had high legs, you know, big relevés, many fouettes, but she had something on her own.
She
Uh,
danced.
yes,
She danced.
she danced, and
She had passion.
beautiful. She was special. She was
Yeah,
a unique star of for her time.
yeah.
This is why maybe she matched very well with Rudolf Nureyev, because both of them, when they were on stage, it was something special.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Uh, Mr. Mark,
Yeah.
and so from dancer, then at what age did you start teaching and you know, swapping into a new way to dedicate yourself to the youngest one?
Well, Pierre, we've skipped my career.
Okay,
We
so
fast forward.
talk about your career because I don't know anything about you.
You don't know anything, but let me enlighten you, Pierre.
Okay.
Basically, I'll do it as quickly as possible.
No, no, no. Take your time. Take your time. Don't quickly. Don't be quick.
Okay. I graduated from the Rambert School, the Mercury Theatre, in 1979.
Yes.
And I graduated. It was a 3-year course. I did 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then I graduated. When I graduated, like I said previously, there were no, apart from Vincent Hampton, there were no working black or mixed race dancers, male or female dancers, apart from Vincent Hampton, working in the UK. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? Where am I going to dance? So I bunked off school. I took time off school, which I shouldn't have done. That's what bunking off school means. And I auditioned for a ballet company called Ballet Gulbenkian,
Ah, yes.
which was directed by George Celavisa in Lisbon, in Portugal.
Yes.
And I auditioned for him. It was my first ballet audition, and I very fortunately got the contract. So at the age of 17, I was dancing with the Ballet Gulbenkian, and I lived and danced and worked with the company and George Celavisa for a year. And then after that, in fact, previously to going to the Ballet Gulbenkian, I was asked by Arthur Mitchell to come out to Dance Theatre of Harlem, because most talented male, black or female ballet dancers, if they had any kind of je ne sais quoi or passion, or they wanted to dance classically, they predominantly went to Dance Theatre of Harlem, or if they were lucky, to a company in Europe.
Yes.
But predominantly they went to Dance Theatre of Harlem because Mr. Mitchell was the director that was embracing black classical dancers. So originally I was supposed to go there, but I had a teacher that didn't, let's just say, he didn't give me very good PR to Mr. Mitchell, and I didn't end up going to America, which in a way worked in my favor, because I think I was probably far too young, even though when I did eventually go to America, I was still young. I was far too young, I think, to go to New York. So for me to get a contract and dance with the Ballet Gulbenkian with George Celavisa was perfect, because it was a lovely introduction to the world of classical ballet. The dancers in the company, it was a beautifully diverse company of a jambalaya of beautiful dancers, not only Portuguese, but Brazilian, Angolan, European, It was a really, really special company with a lovely, lovely repertoire. In fact, my first ballet, my first ballet that I did, I'll never forget it because I remember going to see the Royal Ballet do Rite of Spring. Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. And I saw the Royal Ballet do it, and I thought, oh my God, what a horrific ballet. I hope I never have to do that ballet. And then my first ballet with the Ballet Gulbenkian was the Rite of Spring, but of course, I absolutely adored it.
Yeah.
The music, it was amazing, an amazing piece. So George was a huge influence in embracing me into the classical dance world, and I'm very, very grateful to George. I'm very, very grateful to the Gulbenkian Foundation for taking me into their arms and giving me that opportunity. And then when I finished my contract with them, which the teacher that tried to put a spanner in the spokes said, "Oh, Mark won't do his full contract. He'll probably leave. You know, he's a wild card. He won't do his contract." But I did do my contract, and George says, "Mark, I'm not going to give you another contract because you need to go to America." So Arthur Mitchell sent for me again, and I went to further my training at Dance Theatre of Harlem. And I was very, very fortunate to have stayed at the Mitchell household. So for 2 years while I was training at Dance Theatre of Harlem, I was actually living with Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Arthur Mitchell's mother, Mrs. Mitchell, in their house, in their brownstone house in Harlem. And dancing and living in Harlem was, I guess, what molded me into the person that I am now. And again, the opportunity to go to America and train and dance, because I was lucky. I was training, but I was also working with professional choreographers and stuff as well in between. So I got to meet some incredible. In fact, I auditioned and met Baryshnikov in New York, which was one of my claims to fame. Baryshnikov told me that I had amazing tournées, and for Baryshnikov to tell me that was the icing on the cake. But America was fun, exciting. I learned a lot. I was surrounded by incredible artists of that time. New York City Ballet was in full swing, ABT, Graham Company. There was so much going on the dance world. Alvin Ailey, American Dance Theatre, I auditioned for and got in. It was an incredible experience, but I felt that I needed to go home. I needed to go back to the UK because it was my home and I wanted to work in the United Kingdom. So I returned to London, and still there wasn't too much in the sense of embracement of Black and mixed race dancers in our company still. So I went into the West End, and I did West End musicals for a while, which I really enjoyed. I had some fun working on numerous West End videos. I also worked commercially doing TV. I worked with the British renowned choreographer Eileen Phillips, who started a group called Hot Gossip. I don't know whether you remember a group in London called Hot Gossip.
No.
No,
No,
it was a very, very popular group that did a lot of commercial work, worked on TV and so forth. And yeah, so I had a musical theatre career and a commercial career, but I still wanted to pursue my my classical dance.
Mm.
And when I was at Dance Theatre of Harlem, I met a beautiful British black ballerina called Carol Straker, who was phenomenal. And she went on to dance with Alvin Ailey, the Graham Company, and so forth. She came back to the UK and she worked with Michael Clark, and I was working on a musical called Mutiny on the Bounty. She wasn't particularly happy working with Michael. I wasn't particularly happy in that particular musical. So she decided to start a company to address this whole area of inclusion in classical ballet. So in the early 90s, she set up a company she set up a foundation called the Carol Straker Dance Foundation. And alongside the foundation, she had a school, the Carol Straker Dance School. So we just took on this whole agenda of inclusion of Black and mixed race British dancers in classical ballet. And we were launched by the BBC. We had a big launch at the Hackney Empire. A lot of people from the dance world were involved, and it really sort of rocked the boat. We had people like Anthony Dow that didn't particularly speak pleasantly about the Black aesthetic in classical dance. But I tell you who was really embracing and wonderful was Peter Schaffers. Have you heard of Peter Schaffers?
Yes.
Peter Schaffers was the director of the then Festival Ballet. And he actually got the ball rolling. He auditioned for Black dancers, and Brenda Edwards and Noel Wallace were the first Black ballet dancers to dance with the then Festival Ballet, the now English National Ballet. So things were starting to move. Carol set her company up. That really sort of pushed the agenda of inclusion of Black and mixed race British classical dancers. And we did what we had to do. That didn't last long because they didn't give Carol the kind of support that she deserved. She was a seasoned classically trained dancer. She was a seasoned ballerina, contemporary, director, choreographer. I think she was basically a threat. In simple words, I think she was a threat to the ballet system in the UK. So they didn't really encourage her company. So her company had to shut down. I came from East London, where she was based, came back to West London and set up my own dance foundation. And I knew that I had to keep my dance foundation small and tight. It had to be about quality, not quantity. So I set up the Mark Elie Dance Foundation, which was the charity, and then I set up the Portobello Dance School, which was the school. And 30 years later, my success stories are second to none. I have dancers in the top dance companies in the UK. Only last week, I was at the Coliseum seeing one of my boys in an opera, actually. He was a dancer in one of the operas at the Coliseum, a Wagner opera, which was it was lovely to go to the Coliseum, because the Coliseum, I've performed at the Coliseum myself, and it's one of my favorite theatres. But to go and see one of my ex-pupils performing there was extremely special. He also did Romeo and Juliet at the Opera House. So as far as my work's concerned, I've been able to, I guess, make dreams come true for young people that have aspirations of going into the classical dance world in this country, the classical / contemporary dance world in this country.
Nice. It's very interesting to see how you have developed your career slowly. And so when you started doing all this, did you also had difficulties? obstacles?
Oh, absolutely. You know, in a nutshell, I'm a mixed race ballet dancer, gay, gay. It wasn't very easy at all, and I was also in a very predominantly black area of West London, Ladbroke Grove, which was quite famous for. Um, we have a very famous carnival called the Notting Hill Gate Carnival,
Yes.
which is like it's like the Brazilian carnival in Rio, but we have one in Notting Hill Gate, and that whole area was when I first started my school was predominantly a black community, and it would have been quite new for them to have met somebody like me that's had the kind of career and background that I've had,
Yes.
wanting to teach young children of color classical ballet. So I did come up against obstacles, but 30 years later, I'm still here.
And you must stay here, you must always teach, you must never stop doing what you are doing because you are doing wonderful work.
Yes, it's very trying. It's not the same anymore, Pierre. You know, realistically, teaching now has become a trial. You know, to run a school and to teach young children is not like it used to be. There's so much bureaucracy. Um, there's so much health and safety involved. It's not as, for me personally, Pierre, it's not as enjoyable as it used to be. I think maybe when things the dust just settles down a bit, it might get back to its enjoyable self. But if I had to put my hand on my heart, this isn't the most happiest period for me. Being a teacher and being in the world of teaching in the UK at the moment, it's challenging, extremely challenging.
But I think in ballet, it's very important to have people who break the rules of this new bureaucracy that exists today on ballet.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I think that a person like you or many other people who are battling like you, they are the only one who can bend the truth of the bureaucracy of today and say, yes, we follow the bureaucracy, but they still do it on their own way. I mean,
Yes.
and that is the only way to break the rules. And that, in front of bureaucracy, you say, yes, I'm following you. But behind bureaucracy, you finally do what you want to do, and you teach in the way that you want to teach. And you don't really care about bureaucracy because today everything is based on a piece of paper, is based on diplomas, but is not based on the realistic way of dance, of the art of dance, as it was before.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's a lot of paperwork has come into the equation of being a teacher, being a director. Yes, yes, a lot of paperwork, and also a lot of online Zoom courses.
Yes, like we are doing now.
No, this is different. This is pleasurable because this is an interview, and hopefully people will be inspired to listening to my story, and hopefully encourage more people out there to embrace and encourage and live and go for their dreams.
Yes, I agree. I agree, yes. Because I think that your interview and also as many other interviews that I have been doing in the past, I'm not a journalist, I'm just a dancer who is talking to other dancers, to other dance artists. So people think that I am a journalist, but I'm not a journalist. I'm just an ex-retired ballet dancer. And but those interviews, the aim of these interviews are to highlight the beauty of the pure academic ballet and the roots of dance, of the art of dance, that in our modern world are getting more pale, which is a shame, because
Yes,
everything is based on technology, everything is based on financial aspect, on money, but nothing is based on the pure quality of art and dance. This is
yes.
my very poor opinion. I might be wrong, but I think that.
No, you're right. You're
So
correct.
I think that artists like you, and I'm also naming Vincent because he's a very dear friend to me also and colleague of dance. I never worked with him, but he was in South Africa, and I have been working in South Africa as well with other dance artists, but we were not working at the same time, you see, the same year. And so I never saw him dancing in front of me, or he has never seen me dancing. And but he is an important figure of ballet, like you are. So I think.
Oh, he's very much so. And I was very fortunate to have worked with Vincent because I was determined to find this dancer, and I did. And what came out of it was very special because I invited him down to London to dance with my company, Classically British and Co. And he performed an incredible piece of dance. And Vincent is very much in his latter age of his life. But when you see Vincent in a dance space, moving to music or moving to silence, he still has the je ne sais quoi.
Well, well,
You,
you don't
you,
you forget about the age, because a dancer, if he's in a good shape like Vincent, he remain a dancer. Even if he walks in the studio, you recognize he is a dancer.
yeah,
And this
it's
is.
so funny that because only yesterday someone said to me, "Oh, you look like a dancer," you know. Right now, I don't feel like a dancer, having done my backing. But it's funny how people just pick up on that. They just pick up on your stance and the way that you express yourself, and they just know that you're a dancer.
Well, because the ballet dancers have a different way to express themselves when they talk publicly. They are not human beings. They are special. I don't know. They have something different from the others.
Absolutely.
And
But
also the way they dance on stage and the way they talk to people are completely different from people who have never done ballet.
yes,
So I
yes.
don't know how to express that, but in a few words, I mean, dancers who are going to look this interview will capture the idea and will understand what I say. That dancers are different, and they are very difficult to understand also, because
Oh, yes.
we are completely different from the other people.
Absolutely. We are artists unto ourselves. We are, a special creation,
Yeah,
which without us, so many people wouldn't have the enjoyment of theatre.
yes, yes, I agree.
We are the people that give so many people that joy.
Yeah. My idea was, why wouldn't you, together with Mr. Vincent Hantam, create something for the young people, like a summer course, or just to give the possibility to all those dancers in United Kingdom to study with you and with other great teachers, that you could give that possibility to the young people?
Well, we've done a little bit of work on that, but sadly, a lot of what it takes to make that really happen is getting funding, Pierre. You know, I'm constantly fighting to raise money to keep my foundation going, because my foundation's a charitable organization. You know, I have to constantly fight to raise money to keep it going. At the moment, I'm in the process of arranging a fundraising event, which is taking place on the 10th of April to raise funds for the foundation, critical funds for the foundation. It's not easy. It's not easy. I still to this day don't know how I've managed to stay and continue doing what I'm doing. But I guess in a way, I've been very fortunate to have people, a few really good human beings that are on the same page as me. They understand what I'm doing. And whenever the crunch gets to the crunch, my guardian angels seem to, throw their arrows and save the day. But it's an ongoing struggle to keep the foundation going. And if I had a magic wand, I would be able to do so much more, including having special summer schools with certain artists at the helm to be able to inspire these people. But what I'm doing is I'm collating a archive, which I've got some wonderful pieces, and hopefully through that will help to inspire young people to go for their dreams, because that's basically what it is. It's about imagery. I think it's really important, Pierre, that in the classical dance world that we see more Black classical dancers. I think that that's one of the problems, is when you look at certain areas of classical dance, you don't see enough Black ballerinas. You don't see enough male Black dancers. They're slowly coming through, but there's some beautiful imagery. I don't know whether Archie has sent you some of my imagery, but there's some beautiful imagery, not only in the UK, but around Europe and in the States. And I just think it's really important for people from diverse cultures to be able to see role models that they relate to. There's a lovely ballerina at the moment who's dancing with the English National Ballet, Precious Adams. Have you heard of Precious Adams?
No.
Well, have a little look. If you Google Precious Adams, she's dancing with the English National Ballet. I've met her. She's come to my school. She's spoken to students at my school, and in fact, she donated a pair of her pointe shoes, a signed copy of her pointe shoes, which I will be auctioning at my event, my fundraising event in London on the 10th of April. And all the information regarding that, it will be on my website. And if anyone is interested in supporting this very, very crucial fundraiser, please don't hesitate to get in contact with me. I'm sure that you'll be able to put my relevant information
on Ballet International Group on Facebook. You can upload a message on the main wall, which you can write
Okay.
your website link in order that people
Yes.
can open the website and have an idea of what you are doing.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we can let Archie know about that. I'm very fortunate. My personal assistant Archie has been my godsend, my right arm at the moment, my sanity. He's been amazing. He's really helped me in the past year to keep pushing forward. And you know, I'm very blessed to have him at the moment
Yes,
supporting the work of the foundation. But
yes,
yeah, I think it's important to show more black females and male ballet dancers.
yes,
I think that this is very, very important. We have one company in London. I don't know whether you've heard of the Ballet Black.
yes,
And sadly, but the company is predominantly full of Cuban, American, and Brazilian dancers. We haven't. I think I'm the only person, actually. I'm the only director that has had a poster in London of a black British ballerina on point in a poster. I've got a couple of pictures which I'm sure Archie or you might have seen, but I think I'm probably one of the only and you know of being of color as well, mixed race artistic director of a dance school and a dance foundation and classically British and co. Yeah, but the Ballet Black hasn't premiered a black or a mixed race ballerina. I think the ballerina that we've seen who has been at the forefront of the Ballet Black's existence has been a ballerina who was from Dance Theatre of Harlem. In fact, the last I went to an award ceremony, Black Theatre Award ceremony, and Ballet Black picked up a few awards, and the director spoke briefly, and then one of the ballerinas came and picked up the award, and I remember thinking, oh my God, not another American. You know, oh, thank you very much for this award. Ballet Black are really pleased to receive this award. And I was thinking, oh, you know, 2022, and we still don't have a black British ballerina who's flying the flag and, you know, speaking on behalf of ballet, of ballet and inclusion of black British male and female ballet dancers.
yeah. Yes.
So there's still work to be done.
Yes, especially I think in the UK and in Europe, because I think there is it's more open in United States to give the
Oh,
freedom,
absolutely.
to black people to dance and to all
Well,
other.
thanks to Arthur Mitchell.
Yes, because in
Arthur Mitchell, he basically.
sorry.
Sorry, Pierre, we're
Yeah.
crossing over. We're getting too excited here.
As you said, in United States is more. I think there is more freedom for black people to dance, you know, and to evolve than United Kingdom or in Europe. I know that in a ballet company in Germany there was a black ballerina. She has been accepted a few years ago in Germany in a ballet
Yeah.
company, and unfortunately and sadly, she has received some, you know, mobbing from the ballet mistress and repetiteur because when she was supposed to dance in the Swan Lake, the ballet mistress told her, "You are black. You cannot make the white swan." and that made a big drama in the ballet
Scandal.
company, scandal. And of course, she won after the 1 year, 2 years, and because you cannot discriminate people because they are a different color from others.
Do
Ballet,
you know what, Pierre? You know, sorry to interrupt you there, but recently I've been going to the theatre and I've been seeing musicals, dance that predominantly were done by Caucasian people. And it's, dance is storytelling. And if you're telling the story beautifully, the color doesn't come into the equation. Of course, it's traditional. These ballets are traditional. Swan Lake, Romeo and Juliet, Sleeping Beauty, all these ballets are traditional. But when you put a beautiful artist on the stage and they tell the story beautifully, then it doesn't become a color thing.
no.
And it's that's, I saw that, and that's been one of the highlights of my career is witnessing that it really is about the excellence of the artist on the stage telling that story. And so if they're of color, they're of color, but they're telling the story and they're bringing you into that world. And it's very powerful.
Yes, I agree. And there's nothing that can prove that there is a difference on stage between a black dancer and a white dancer, or Chinese dancer, or Japanese dancer, or whatever. I mean, we are all the same on stage. We are all the same in the ballet studio.
The thing is, Pierre, what we need to do is we need to create, and that's what Classically British does. It works. The company that I started 20 years ago, it works with dancers that it allows dancers to be able to work in choreography that suits them, that suits their aesthetic, that is new, and that will bring the audience into their world. Classical ballet needs to continue to evolve, and it is. But until we start creating these new ballets for these new dancers that are coming from the more diverse community, people will point the finger and say this and say that. But when you see these, I think I might have seen something quite recently. I think I saw it on your website. There was a lovely black girl and lovely black boy doing a pas de deux. It was very Stuttgart. It was quite a Stuttgarty piece. Stuttgart or Beja. No, it was very Beja.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
That tells me something. I have been uploading so many videos that
Sorry?
I have been uploading so many videos on.
Well, it was a young black boy and a young black girl doing a pas de deux in a studio. They were rehearsing.
Yes.
And they were beautiful. And this is what it's about. It's creating new ballets for these incredible dancers from the diverse community.
Exactly. Yes. Well, I already wrote, but I didn't had any chance to do that with a ballet company. A choreography about what you are saying, just giving, which is called Freedom. The ballet is called Freedom, and it takes about 30 minutes length. And it's exactly to promote and to help the young dancers to evolve in the choreography, because it doesn't have to be technically very strong choreography, but it's more linked with the expression of the body, of the arms movements, of the legs, and also mixed with technique. But this is especially young dancers who want to express themselves, and also for people who are a little bit imaginated, like black dancers, like many others. You know, for instance, in dance, in ballet, in my opinion, there is no need to use apartheid like in South Africa, like it was a few years ago.
Mm,
You need to give the
absolutely.
freedom, you need to give the freedom to evolve to everyone. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
we fall behind the mountain of big ignorance. So,
Absolutely.
and this is what also the audience has to understand. It's a little bit like today, we see dancers who are marginated because they are from Russia, they are from Ukraine, but they have no fault to be what they are, because politics is something, ignorance is something, and the media is taking over on people ignorance to conditionate the brain of the audience, and which is a shame because art must evolve, must have its own freedom everywhere in all countries, in all over the planet. So
Absolutely.
this is why we must be all united and always, and this is what I'm trying to explain, not only with you in this interview, but also with other artists, is that we must share our capacities in order that, for instance, now you have been given a beautiful image of what your experience was with Madame Rambert, with the modern dance, with what you are doing now. And because people don't know who is Mr. Mark. People don't know who is Ashley Killer from South Africa, and now he's in Australia. They don't know anything. They have no idea. So we must know each
No,
other. We must know each other. We only see the books, we only see some videos on YouTube, but we really don't know what is in the heart of each artist, of each. We start knowing after the person has passed away.
absolutely. But thanks to you, thanks to you and Vincent, because I stumbled on you, and I saw that interview with Vincent, and I thought, oh, that is so amazing, and I'm so glad because Vincent has kept himself very much in his own little ballet bubble, but he's slowly coming out, and there'll be a book, there should be a film. We are doing what needs to be done to to let people know about our experiences as classical dancers of color. I've I'm working when it's coming to an end now. It's actually in the editing suite, but I worked on a film, a documentary, a film slash documentary about my work, which was 16 years in the making.
Hmm.
16 years in the making. It's in the editing suite at the moment. Sadly, the wonderful director, my dear friend Kieran Scott, who was the director of the movie, she passed away 3 years ago now. But the team that were working with her, members of the team, are now, as we speak, in the editing suite, putting this film together. But that is going to be an incredible emotional roller coaster of a film about my life and my passion and my trials and tribulations of running my dance school here in West London's North Kensington. So I think that will hopefully be it will be an inspiring film. Yeah, we just got to do what we can do. I think that I'm fortunate to have done all the things that I've done, inspired thousands of children, some of which have gone on to do incredible things. and I've been able to go and enjoy seeing them in all of our major theatres in London. So that's a godsend. But slowly, I think things will arrive to where we are all comfortable with embracing diversity.
Exactly. Yes. And I hope that in the future, next decade, there will be something new, a new wave in ballet, a new creation, new choreographies, new ideas that people like you and many others could collaborate and put on,
Yes,
because otherwise everyone will remain in his own corner and will never move. We have to collaborate all together, not for us, but for the young generations.
absolutely, absolutely. And I
Because
think even Carlos Acosta,
exactly,
Carlos Acosta, who's had an incredible career as a ballet dancer. Now he's the artistic director of the Birmingham Royal Ballet, and
yeah,
he's setting up a school in Cuba.
exactly. Good, good, very good.
So slowly but surely, yeah.
Mr. Mark, we have nearly reached the end of our interview. Is there anything
Oh,
that you would like, that you have forgotten and you would like to highlight about your career?
well, I tell you what, I've I've evolved in so many different areas of my career, and recently I've been writing, and I'd like to introduce you. Let me see if I can reach without doing too much more damage to my back. I've recently written a children's book, and it's come out. I did my BBO ballet training in 2003, a while ago. And one of the things that we had to do was one of my favorite classes, Pierre. I love teaching the tiny tots, the 3s to 5s, my little acorns. I
Yeah,
think it's really important when you have your first ballet class that it is completely and utterly magic, and that you embrace and you bring these young children into a world that they want to be in, not have to be in, but they want to be in. So one of my course teachers wanted me to come up with something that would make a ballet class for young children a little bit less stifling and traditional. So I wrote a story called The Tales of Oceana. Can you see that, Pierre?
yes. Wow,
The
very nice,
Tales of Oceana.
beautiful.
And basically, it's about a black mermaid. Her name is Oceana, and she has concerns over our oceans and our seas and our beaches, and the importance of looking after the oceans and the seas. And the story is about looking after our sea creatures and so forth. And Oceana and her friends travel around the ocean, saving different creatures that are endangered by fishing line and fishing trawlers and so forth. But the story ends. The story ends that they end up in a disco. They end up in the Mermaid and Merman's disco. So there's this lovely story about the traveling to this disco and the encounters that they come across. But at the end, they end up at a wonderful disco called the Mermaid and the Merman's Disco. So
Nice.
my dancing career has evolved into writing children's books, and the role model for the children's book is this wonderful black mermaid called Oceana.
Beautiful, beautiful idea.
So I'm working on that. I'm working on that at the moment.
So I wish you all the best of luck for this.
Thank you, Pierre. Thank you so much. So if there's any agents or publishers that want to discuss my book, and I have another one in the pipeline, I'm open for discussions, because I think it's very important again to
Yeah.
have role models that young children can relate to.
Exactly. I agree. I agree. So what is your wish that you would like to express that comes from your heart to the young dancers of today? I mean, looking to your experience, all the teachers you had in the background, and all the great things you have been doing. And when you look to the young dancers of today, teenagers or maybe a little bit older, what is your wish that you would like to tell them?
My wish would be to go for your dreams, to go for your aspirations, to work so hard. Don't let anybody say that you can't do something. There's not such a word as can't.
Yeah.
Strive for your dreams and work really hard, and you will achieve, eventually you will achieve your goals. If someone would have told me all those years ago that I would have had this life as an artist, as a dancer, I would have said no. Me, Mark Elie, do all of these things, but I have done. So if Mr. Mark Elie can achieve and do all these things that I've done in my life, I'm sure that all of you young, talented artists out there that have aspirations of dancing on the world stage will achieve that. So go out there, do your best, and strive for your dreams.
Beautiful words. Beautiful. Is there anything that you would like to say to the audience of Ballet International? Because, you know, in Ballet International, there are people from 94 countries, and there are people who are professional artists, great artists of ballet, and there are teachers, choreographers, and there are also many people who are not dancers. They are just ballet, friends of ballet. So is there anything
Well,
you would like to tell them?
well, basically, I'm honoured that I've got to meet you, Pierre, and your wonderful world of dance. And I'm here as one of our telecommunication organizations. BT once said, "It's good to talk." And I'm here. If anyone wants to talk to me about what I'm doing here in the UK, here in West London with my dance foundation, the Mark Elie Dance Foundation, and my school, Portobello Dance School, I'm open to talk. I'm open to collaborations. Please feel free to contact me. I think that, like you say, Pierre, it's good to communicate and to collaborate with other dancers in the world, really. And having the internet allows us to connect so much more easier with the dance world.
Exactly. This is very important what you have said. Very important. Is there anything that you wish to say to Mr. Vincent Hantam that he probably is going to look to your interview from the very beginning up to the very end?
Vincent Hampton. Vincent Hampton is an extraordinary human being, and I have the utmost respect for him. He calls me the maestro, but for me, He's the maestro. And I had heard of him, and even just through hearing of him, it was so inspirational. But then further down the line,
I think we are having some problems with internet.
for my for members of. Oh, okay. Well, basically, I'm honoured and privileged to have Mr. Vincent Hampton in my life, and I hope that we continue to do amazing, inspirational things together here in the UK.
I'm very happy to hear that, and I do hope that you and Mr. Vincent Hampton and many other artists will collaborate, and you will create something good for the young generation, not only UK, but it could be inspirational to all countries everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, this is going to be a piece of work, and it's going to be a piece of work that's going to inspire young people all over the world.
Exactly.
Thank
So
yeah.
first, before we interrupt the interview, I wish with all my heart to extend my sincere thanks and to God that He has given me this great opportunity to meet you, to meet Mr. Archie today before your interview, to set up the video camera and everything, and that you have laid out your career in a wonderful way. And I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased about this interview, and I really wish to thank you with all my heart for participating to this interview. So now, before I close,
Thank you.
I will talk to the people of Ballet International, and then you stay online when we finish. So, ladies and gentlemen of Ballet International, and also to all the audience who is watching this interview on the YouTube channel of Ballet International, today we had a prestigious guest. And so I do hope that this interview will inspire you to pass on the word, and maybe to also to contact Mr. Mark for new projects, for new ideas, new choreographies, new events about dance. Not only Europe, but all the world needs new things. We are walking, everyone is walking into an unknown future. We have to build this future, but we have to build it staying hand by hand and all united. So, ladies and gentlemen of Ballet International, I wish to thank you, and I wish to thank Mr. Mark again for your great patience.
Thank you, Pierre.
And so we hope to see you again online with another artist of dance. Thank you again. Sorry, I'm just...
Thank you, Pierre.